This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Brandon Andrus Green.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast Live. Fresh flowers can change the feeling of a room, a celebration, or even just an ordinary day. And when those flowers are grown locally from seed, there's an entire story behind every single bloom. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, Lyndie Mather with Lyndie Loves Flowers. Hey, Lyndie, how's it going?
Going great. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. We're real excited to learn all about you and Lyndie Loves Flowers and the business you're growing one seed at a time. Will you tell us about your flower business and kind of what you're building through this business?
Yes. I would say about 4 years ago, I just saw a little ad on Facebook, and it was like an offer. I think it was at the Philbrook Museum to come and do a bouquet arrangement class. And I went just because I wanted to, and we had fresh like wildflowers in the field behind our house. So I wanted to know how to arrange. And I caught some kind of bug there and immediately started ordering seed for the next season. And just slowly one thing turned into another. And I got into a big deep dive of the difference between cool season flowers and warm season flowers, which opened a whole new world to me. And I really don't do it for profit as much as just for my own personal pleasure. And I don't know why, but I get tremendous pleasure from it. I feel like it's kind of an old lady hobby, but I think everyone should have some fresh flowers in their lives.
So what all are you growing?
Well, right now we're in the warm season, and the main thing I'm growing are zinnias. And in Oklahoma, especially, zinnias are foul-proof. Everyone can grow zinnias by just throwing them in the ground. Dahlias are another one that I love to grow. They're a little bit trickier in Oklahoma. Of course, roses and sunflowers and eucalyptus and different fillers, celosia, to name a few.
Has it been hard or easy?
Every year I learn a lot. I would say every year brings its own challenges. So it's easier every year, but weather changes everything. And I don't know if you remember, but earlier this winter, we had a really warm month, and it kind of caused everything to bloom way too early, and it messed up things even now that are suffering because of just the cycle of weather. But it's really easy.
Well, what would you say is something about growing flowers that maybe looks easy from the outside, but in reality is much harder than people even realize?
I think the number one thing is, which I've just learned this year, really, is the soil matters the most. And you can throw seed in soil, but if you want amazing flowers, you have to begin in the winter to prep soil. When everything looks dead, you have to amend the soil with compost, and weeds are a huge thing that can be a surprising difficulty. But finally working on the soil, I just used to think it's not that big of a deal. But once I really got into prepping the beds before I even think about flowers, that's when I had the best flowers.
So are you still using that field out back, or how are you producing your flowers?
Yeah, there's still wildflowers in the field that I use, but in the last couple years, I have just put flower beds, probably making my family go crazy, but all over the yard. So we had some really good friends come when I almost gave up on my biggest flower bed, and it was just so full of weeds, and they came and they cleaned it all out for me, and I got to start over and start clean. And so I have flower beds in the back and on all the sides of the house.
Nice. And do you ever find yourself driving next to the highway or the road and wanting to just pull over with some scissors and get those wildflowers?
Absolutely. And I'm always wondering, did people go out and plant those seeds, or are they just from God? It's probably a little mixture of both.
Has there been a flower that surprised you the most, either because it's so beautiful or maybe it's just absolutely refused to cooperate?
Um, Honestly, I think it would be zinnias. They're the ones that are the easiest. And there's this lady, she's really probably the reason I got into flowers on Instagram. It's called Floret Flowers, and she's in Washington, and she has curated flower zinnias that, like in Oklahoma, we're used to really bright orange, red, and yellows. But she has made like these seeds that are just pale, like really soft, like strawberry, um, just like the softest pastels, and with really delicate, leaves and flower petals that are different than most of the zinnias that you find anywhere. And those have been really surprising how gorgeous they can be, just because they're so pale, and they're just there's several that I grow now that have an ombre of colors. So they'll start like a really deep, at the petal, deep pink, and go all the way almost to a white. And they're just amazing. They fascinate me. And I think they have surprised me the most. It just, the intricacy.
They're gorgeous, huh?
Yes.
Have you had any meaningful reactions from someone that you've given some bouquets to? I know that everyone loves receiving flowers.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Probably the most recent, my best friend's mother was diagnosed with cancer and immediately in the hospital with surgeries. And I was able just to make her a bouquet of flowers for them to take her like every other day, the whole time she was in the hospital. And things like that's always meaningful. And of course, everybody loves flowers. And if you cut them yourself, it's even more meaningful. And then I have them all over my house too. So everybody's always really appreciative. And I think most people would love to try it, but they feel like it's too hard. But I like to show people by giving them a bouquet that they can do this. It's so easy. Even if you have kids and you work and all of those things, you can still tend a little garden in your backyard.
Yeah, I think everyone does love receiving flowers. I think it's crazy that half the population only receives flowers once in their life, and that's when they're dead.
Oh,
As a male, no one ever gives me flowers. But I know that when someone dies, it is customary to buy flowers for their casket. So it feels like most of the male population never receives flowers their entire life until they're dead, and then they get a whole bunch.
that's so sad. That's so sad.
So I want to encourage our listeners to start buying flowers for males as well. I think everyone loves to receive them.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found there's anything that feels different about giving locally grown flowers versus just giving someone flowers purchased from the grocery store?
Absolutely. I think it would be equivalent to a friend who has a baby, and go buy them a pizza at Mazio's versus a homemade meal. It's a similar feeling. And it's just, there's more love put in it, because you grew them, you cut them, you arranged them, and you were thinking about your friend the whole time. And so I think that it's way more meaningful. Yeah. Even the flowers inside my own home that I do that for and put them around my house. Just the feeling I get walking in my own home with beautiful arrangements that I grew. It's tending to my own home. And that's a
And
good.
do you have set prices? Are you open to the general public?
As far as selling them,
Yes, ma'am.
no, I haven't grown so many that I feel like I have such an overflow that I would do that. But I'm open to that in the future, maybe on a very small scale.
And what do you want to be known for your flower business?
I think the thing that is most meaningful for me right now, and I try to, when I share my flowers and my bouquets, I try to relay to other people, is I'm a Christian, and just the spiritual journey that I have gone on the last few years, learning about a garden and tending my garden, has been so significant in my own life. And I think a lot of people, Christians or not, get disillusioned with life when things get really hard. And if they only could understand just the seasons of our souls, as the season is, it perfectly mimics, God made creation to perfectly mimic our lives. So I'm very passionate about the whole thing. I've thought about a book I would love to write someday, just about the seasons of our souls. And if we didn't have winters in our life, spring could never come. And if spring and summer were all we had, it would burn up so quickly and things would not be healthy. And just like a heartbeat goes up and down, you don't want to see a flat line. It's the same with a garden and the seasons. You want these times where everything looks dead. It's not. And to trust the process, and even the things that do die. Right now, I'm getting in such a neat time where I have let all my spring flowers completely die and go to seed. And once they're completely dead, I did this for 2 hours this afternoon. I went and got one of my favorite flowers. They're fillers called Bells of Ireland. And one little petal you open and there's all these hard seeds in there. And so even though it died, the potential for life is extravagant in some of these flowers. Like one sunflower can have up to 1,000 seeds.
Wow.
Yeah, 1,000. And it's phenomenal. So it's just all these lessons that are bringing so much life to me, that I feel like if all of us could grow a garden and just spend time almost daily, just 5 or 10 minutes, taking weeds out, like the spiritual analogy of our souls, and that we have to daily tend to our souls. And it's very significant in my life, and I love telling people about it.
Yeah, because it comes to mind where you mentioned that, right now we're in the peak of summer, but your flowers are still greatly impacted by a warm period during winter. And we think that when we're going through such rough time periods, that it'd be nice just to have just a little relief. We don't realize how that little relief during the most crucial time will actually impact us greatly later.
That's really good. I haven't even thought about that, but it came at the wrong time. And yeah, you've got to let the seasons have their place in our lives, and just know, but the hope, there's so much hope that winter will end and spring is coming, and whatever we're going through, there will be an end to the suffering, and we're going to smile again. We're going to be okay.
Because all of that suffering actually works to benefit those flowers. It makes those flowers more beautiful, more hardy, more resilient, and able to produce better crops in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Lyndie, what's one thing that where can our listeners go to follow your journey and learn a little bit more about what all you have going on with Lyndie Loves Flowers?
Well, right now I'm just on Instagram, and just under that, Lyndie Loves Flowers. And I try and post at least every other day, just pictures of my bouquets. I'm trying to get a little bit better about posting more of the journey of like arrangements and how to do things. It's so easy. So that's where they can find me.
And that's Lyndie with Lyndie, correct?
Correct, yeah.
All right. So Lyndie Loves Flowers for all of our listeners. Well, Lyndie, I really appreciate you being on the show, and we wish you and your flower business the best moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnptulsa.com. That's gnptulsa.com, or call 918-301-6356.